Thank you for joining me on an informative video about our quad muscles and how releasing and stretching these muscles can improve our movement patterns, our workouts, and ultimately reduce pain and prevent injury. So first of all, our quad or quadricep muscles are a group of 4 muscles that run from the front of our hips to the top of our knees, okay? They're a group of 4 muscles whose primary movement that they're responsible for is leg extension. So think about those quadricep machines that you see at a gym where you sit down and you extend your leg. That is working your quadricep, the group of 4 muscles in the front of your thigh. So they're primarily involved in extending that leg, but one of them also ties into the front of those hips and is responsible for flexing our hip. Okay, so some of the stretches that we do, you're also going to feel in those hip flexors. So they contribute to hip flexion, but their primary role is leg extension. Now stop and think. As we move throughout our day, we do leg extension a ton, okay? Walking and moving forward, we actually kick that leg in front of us, right? Walking up and down the stairs, as you push through, you're extending that leg. Even things like squats and lunges all require that leg extension and that push, extending our knees and feet through the floor. So why do they get so tight? So they get tight for multiple reasons. When we strength train and we move around and we exercise day to day, we end up doing a lot of leg extensions, right? And when we work our muscles, they have a propensity when they heal to get tighter. And that's in our fascia. They get bound up and tight, which is why after you exercise, sometimes we feel a little bit tight. The other thing to keep in mind is that when we sit, okay, we end up shortening our hips this way, right? Our hips become shorter, sitting our pelvis towards our upper thigh bones and thus shortening those hip flexors. Like I said before, some of our quad muscles also tie into hip flexion, and sitting in this position for long periods of time can actually cause those muscles to shorten and get tighter. So these quad muscles, beyond being worked a lot, then tie into the top of our shin bones. And so a lot of the time when you start a new workout routine, or you start walking or running or riding a bike and exercising, sometimes we get that infamous pain right below our kneecap, right above those knees. This has a propensity to be from tightness in our quads. Now, I'm not saying exclusively tightness in our quads. So if you are experiencing this, or you have any long-term pain or swelling, or your pain is reaching high points rather than that simple pinch or pull, please go to a physical therapist or a doctor, okay? But sometimes just helping those muscles relax a little, using a foam roll and myofascial release, and stretching them out can reduce the tension in the top of our knees, in the front of those hips, and leave you feeling better, stronger, and more able to continue your workouts. Most importantly, when we release and stretch muscles that are tight, it leads to less patterns in our exercises. And these patterns can be things like when we squat, having our chest fall forward. This means we're not engaging those quads the same way. And ideally, when we go into a workout and we do strength training exercises, we're doing things with proper form so that all of our muscles are caught upon equally to get the most out of our workout. And this helps ensure that your exercise actually prevents injury, prevents pain, and promotes long-term health, which is why we all exercise in the first place. So all we need to release these quads is a foam roll and a nice open floor. And it's just 2 simple exercises that you can do in 4 to 5 minutes of your day. Easy to do, and will leave you feeling opened up through the front of those hips and knees, okay? So to start, we're going to use our foam roll to release the front of our thighs. Now, what this involves is basically planking on this foam roll. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to lean forward on that foam roll, come down on our elbows. We're going to make sure that our belly button stays pulled in as we support the spine. We're not letting those hips dip down and those legs dangle up. All right. Now, I want to start by scanning the front of my thighs to find my most sensitive spots or my trigger points. So I'm going to start right at the top of the knees, and I'm going to roll down towards the top of my thighs. Now, once I get to the top, I want to remember where I had the most sensitive spots, and I'm going to go back to that most sensitive spot. For me, it's right in the middle of my thigh, and I'm going to stay right there on that most tender spot, gently breathing, pushing my elbows through the floor, staying long and tall through the crown of my head, and relaxing my shoulders, and that gentle pull in on my belly button. Okay, now 2 common trigger points are right at the front of your thighs. This is actually your rectus femoris, which goes all the way up to the front of those hips. So if you tend to have tighter hips, sometimes you will feel tightness right in the middle of that thigh. The second spot is 2 to 3 inches above the knee. Now, this is a lower quad muscle below your longest quad muscle. All right, this is the vastus intermedius, and also tends to get a trigger point. So if you're feeling tenderness in both, you can release both of them as you're kind of getting 2 of those muscles in that quad group. The other muscles are not those center line muscles and can contribute to other areas of referral pain. So staying on that muscle, this can take 30 seconds to 2 minutes until you no longer feel that tenderness. Thinking about putting the idea is like you're putting your thumb into a stick of butter and holding it there until you feel that butter release and melt away. All right. And once that muscle has released and melted away, you can move that foam roll off to the side, and hopefully you feel that calmness through the front of your thighs. Now you can do this multiple times a day as it helps our brain talk to those quad muscles less. Now we're going to go into a very focused quad and hip flexor stretch. On the floor, you can use a mat, a pillow, or a blanket, especially under our bottom knee. We're going to put 1 foot forward. So we're in a lunge position. We have our back foot nice and flexed. This is why it's important to have a pillow, blanket, or pad under that knee if you're on a hard floor. All you're going to do in this lunge position is squeeze your bum. So you tuck your hips, that hip toward that rib. We're not crunching forward, we're just squeezing the bum like we're tucking our tail under. Now, when you tuck that tail under, you may feel a stretch through the front of that hip, down into that thigh. If you would like to take it up a notch, you can reach one hand towards the ceiling, and this is going to be the hand that's on the same side as that bottom leg. And then you can even add a small lean to the side. You can take it up even further and add a slight rotation on that body. And this may help release in front of that hip as well. But we're only going to reach, lean, and or rotate if we feel an increase in stretch at each one of those adaptations or progressions. And then again, we're holding this 30 seconds to 2 minutes until you feel that stretching sensation calm down. Thinking of a rubber band here, you pull into that rubber band and you hold it, and you're going to feel the tension in that band calm down. It's going to hopefully stay in a longer position and be a little bit more stretched out at a healthier length. Again, that healthier length helps reduce that pinching and pulling on the top and the bottom of that knee, or even through the front of that hip for people who have that when they're walking. All right, so same thing on the opposite side, 90 degrees on those legs, back foot flexed under. This really helps add that additional front of that thigh, not just the hip. Okay, big squeeze on the bum, reaching overhead, small lean to the side, and even adding that rotation. If we can feel that increase in stretch with each movement. And whatever you do, you should comfortably be able to hold that stretching position until you no longer feel that stretching sensation. All right. Now, if you have really bad tightness through the front of those hips, this does not release our hip flexors muscles. This is entirely focused on the quads, even though the stretch does hone in a little bit on those hip flexors. But it's important that if you're having a lot of hip pain, to go ahead and reach out to a manual therapist, a physical therapist, a massage therapist, somebody who is licensed to get in there and release those muscles. It's important not to try it yourself at home just because it feels good. There are a lot of organs and nerves that are all tied into that area that you don't want to be pressing on, okay? So we want to make sure that we leave that manual therapy to the manual therapists, but using the tools at home in order to help ourselves feel better, move better, get stronger, and prevent injury and pain that ultimately leave us feeling healthier and better day to day. All right? Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this, this informative video to help you achieve better kinetic balance, better movement patterns that promote awesome motion, life, and health balance to help you feel your best. If you have any questions, if you like it, comment below. Please subscribe to my channel, or never hesitate to reach out and head to my website and check me out. I'm always happy to help you reach your goals, and I really want you to feel your best while you do it.